What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers need a center, and they have been very active in the center market. And I still believe that Jonas Valanciunas is probably most likely to be the center for the Los Angeles Lakers. I just think, price-wise, as far as relationship-wise goes, the Lakers and the Wizards have that history of working together. Also, Valanciunas being $10 million, you don't have to break the bank to get him. Also, asset-wise, probably the cheapest route. Obviously, like a Day'Ron Sharpe or Nick Richards or something like that is cheaper financially. But what are the asset-wise? And, is Nick Richards even available? So on and so forth. Where Valanciunas, he's a guy that I think come in. Lakers don't need a starting center, right? As long as LeBron is on this team, LeBron's going to be your starting power forward. So now it doesn't mean that in spots or in pinches or certain matchups in the playoffs or whatever that might change. But over the course of an 82-game season, LeBron's going to play the four. So you just need somebody that can come in and provide serviceable minutes, slot alongside Anthony Davis at times on occasion, right? But mostly be the backup, right? So Valanciunas, I think, fits that role, makes a lot of sense. However, the Lakers want a big bruising center that specializes in defense. The issue is that doesn't really exist for them right now, right? Like, Jonas Valanciunas, okay, big bruiser center, right? Guy that bangs down low, back to the basket type center. But defensively, he's nowhere near that. Valanciunas isn't that guy. Clint Capella, isn't, I wouldn't really call him a bruising center. Obviously, Walker Kessler would be ideal. That would be best case scenario. Problem is that supposedly Utah's taking him off the market. So he's no longer available for trade because he's the big bruising physical center that can protect the rim and defend. Right? Boom. Walker Kessler. Ideally. But if Utah really has taken him off the market and he really is no longer available, well then, that spells trouble for the Lakers, right? Now you have guys like a Nick Richards, but I mentioned earlier, right? Like Nick Richards, we don't even know if he's really available. Teams like the Lakers and the Knicks, they have inquired about Nick Richards. They have touched base with Charlotte about Nick Richards, but we don't know if he's actually available for trade, right? Almost every team listens to every potential offer for anybody. Right? Because you never know. Some team, the Knicks are like, hey, we'll give you 2 firsts for Nick Richards. It might be like, okay, sure, let's do that. Get that done. Especially now with like Mark Williams back. Nick Richards is probably the closest for that. Right? Again, not really this like big bruising center. Right? Like the way that the report makes it seem is like the Lakers want, some like 260 center that can just bang with the big boys and also block shots and defend. Right? Which, again, Walker Kessler's probably the closest thing to that. But outside of that, it's just like most of them are older, offensive-minded, or just like, kind of like the floor-running big men. Again, Nick Richards could defend a Day'Ron Sharpe, right? He's like 260, so he'd give you that big physical bruising center. Day'Ron Sharpe is probably the closest thing based on the description of the report. Right? Problem is like no one seems to know how tall he is. Right? So like coming in college and coming into the league, he was listed at 6'11". Right? But now if you look up his height, right, and do this, I encourage you to. Google his height. Or just Google him as a player, period, and then you'll see all the different articles. And like the NBA.com has him listed differently than ESPN, different than Sports Reference, but like if you look at his combine and his college height, it all says 6'11". But like, NBA.com has him like 6'9". So like, did he just shrink? Did he lose 2 inches? Like, what happened there is kind of the question. But nonetheless, like Nick Richards or Day'Ron Sharpe is probably the closest thing to what has been reported. A guy that's got good size, good weight, good physicality, right? He likes to bang with the big boys. It's just how tall is he? Is he 6? Because if he's 6'9", it's a big difference than 6'11", Right? Now, is it one of those things where he's 6'9" without shoes, but he's really like 6'11", 6'10" with shoes, right? Like, which 2 inches, it's a lot. Usually you'll see a guy is, 6'9", but 6'10" in shoes, right? I mean, you're talking about a 2-inch discrepancy here, right? That's a pretty significant discrepancy. Usually it's a discrepancy. Like a guy will be listed at, 6'9", but he's really, whatever, 6'8" and 2/3, right? Or whatever, right? Or 6'8.5". And it's like, okay, well, with shoes, he's 6'9". So, but yeah, Day'Ron Sharpe would probably be, and I think Day'Ron Sharpe makes the most sense. He's cheapest. It's just asset-wise. What does it cost you asset-wise? He's $5 million. Also, he's 23, so you have the potential to have him long-term, right? Like, he could be your center for now and the future, which I think would be huge. Kind of kill two birds with one stone. Find your piece for now and find a piece that can kind of be your serviceable center. Slot alongside Anthony Davis, slot alongside, in place of Anthony Davis. Also, Day'Ron Sharpe, like his per 36 stats are like insane. He's like three blocks, I think it's like 16 and like 15 or 16 and 14 as far as like rebounds and stuff go. Like, he's a guy that, like, you look at like his per 36, it's like, man, this guy's the best center in the league. Obviously that doesn't always translate. Per 36 is just like a, example, right? Usually, like, you'll see guys, a lot of times even, where they're like great in like 15 minutes of action, but as soon as you play them like 17 minutes, they're terrible, right? Like, Taurean Prince for us was that, right? If you played Taurean Prince like 15 minutes, he was really good and the Lakers were really good. But whenever he played 20 minutes or more, Lakers were like the worst team in the league. That happens a lot. So, kind of curious to see how that plays out. But then again, outside of that, you're looking at, like I said, a Jonas Valanciunas or a Clint Capella, or a Brook Lopez. But all these guys, again, are, Brook Lopez kind of gives you that, the bruiser, the size, the defense, all of that. But the Bucks are starting to come around and starting to figure some stuff out here. Also, he's like, 36? Right? Do you really want kind of these older centers? Like, if you're the Lakers, Day'Ron Sharpe is probably the best option. Day'Ron Sharpe is probably the most realistic option. Right? The Lakers are just kind of, there's just not this, like, great abundance of centers that make sense for what the Lakers need. And if you're to go get, like, a Valanciunas or a Brook Lopez, you're not bringing them off the bench. You're starting them. And is that worth kind of wearing down LeBron? LeBron's already dealing with issues and foot injuries and all that stuff, right? Like, last thing you want to do is force him to now have to play the 3, and he ends up, by the time the season's over, he's either completely gassed or he's out, right? Like, it's a tough spot to be in if you're the Lakers, right? That's why I keep talking about, like, we need to focus on the perimeter. Also, the Lakers' biggest need is the perimeter. I mean, all the stats, the eye test, everything. A lot of their rebounding issues stem from the perimeter, because teams are just jacking up threes on the Lakers more than anyone else. So you get a lot of long ball rebounds, and teams are like, hey, we can win 50-50 balls against D'Lo, Reeves, and Rui Hachimura. Like, teams aren't worried about that. I just think you need a serviceable center. That's why I'm okay with, like, a Valanciunas, right? And it's not my favorite option. I know a lot of people don't really want Valanciunas, but he makes sense for what the Lakers need. A guy that can come in, give you a near double-double in like 15, 20 minutes of action. He's not this like elite floor spacer, but he can space the floor a little bit, right? He's a guy you can dump the ball down to. It can go to work, kind of give you some stability in that regard, which I do like the idea because, how many times we see the Lakers go like 5 minutes without scoring the basketball? It'd be nice to have a guy like Valanciunas that you can just dump the ball into and just be like, hey, go get us a bucket. Go to work. And he can just, around the basket, just go to work and go get you a bucket. Right? You need those things. You need those value. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Who's your ideal center position? Obviously, again, Nick Richards, a Day'Ron Sharpe. Walker Kessler is my biggest, please. Can we make this happen? But realistically, like a Day'Ron Sharpe, Nick Richards, if Nick Richards is actually available, would be best case. Valanciunas, I think, is the most likely case. But, how do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you okay with Valanciunas? Do you want somebody else? Do you want, kind of one of these bigger centers? Do you really care about the lack of defense? Just, go get Valanciunas and be great, shooting the basketball, scoring the basketball, and, even just like making plays and stuff. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.